Hey everyone, hope you are all doing good. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all who all are joining us globally. My name is Parth Varu. I am Events and Program Manager for Microsoft Reactor in Bengaluru. And yes, once again, I welcome you all to our another episode of MVP Connect. Today, our topic is focused on building Microsoft Copilot Agent with the custom connector. Uh, the session is presented by our beloved MVP, Narasima Perumal. But before we start our today's event, let's go through our code of conduct. We are all here to learn together, participate together. So please be respectful of other people's views, understanding the differences. Be kind and considerate in a way we all engage. Yes, we do encourage you all to participate. Please drop all the questions in the comment section and we'll pick it up from there. I would not like to delay further. I would like to bring in Narasima Perumal, our MVP and a presenter for today's session. Hey, hi Narasima, how are you
Okay,
doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks, Parth. Thanks for another opportunity to speak in Microsoft Reactor Bengaluru. Thanks. Let me
Welcome,
share my
most
screen.
welcome. Yes.
Yeah. Parth, I hope you are able to see my screen and everything
Yes.
is fine.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay. Thanks. Let me start with the session. Hi,
Yes, the
good
floor is yours.
afternoon. Yeah, hi, good afternoon. Thanks for joining my session. And I am Narasima Perumal Chandramohan, co-founder of JiJi Technologies Private Limited. And I am a Microsoft MVP specialized on M365. And I am a Microsoft MVP for past 8 years. And my company does M365 tenant-to-tenant migration of our workloads, including Viva Engage, Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, Exchange, SharePoint, Teams, and everything. So today our topic is building Copilot agent with custom connectors. So before jumping to the session, let's understand what are custom connectors. So using custom connectors, you can consume the external services and systems to read and manage data from the external services and the systems. Maybe the external system can be Microsoft Graph, or it can be some of your HR tool, HR management tool, or it can be a CRM, or it can be SAP, or whatever that it can. It is not only limited to Microsoft products; it can be any third-party services also. So the custom connectors solely rely only on REST APIs. The reason is that the REST APIs are scalable, highly scalable, and they are currently widely standard for accessing their own way of accessing the APIs. And the beauty with the custom connector is that once you build the custom connectors, you can consume it across the Power Automate to automate your day-to-day activities, or you can use it in Power Apps to update your system or the system data. Maybe you may want to update a couple of rows, or you want to access and see the rows with a specific business logic. Or if you have some complex applications, you can use it with Azure Logical Apps also. And right now, Microsoft integrated with the Copilot Studio too. So today's our interest is solely mainly in Copilot Studio. So we will be exploring the ways how we can create the custom connector and then use it across Copilot Studio. So how you can create the custom connectors. So to create a custom connector, you need to go to the Power Automate portal. From there, you can create a custom connector. The the backend or the REST APIs that are defined by you for your custom connector can be of any technology of your choice. It can be Node or .NET or Azure Function, whatever it can be. And also, when you are trying to create a new custom connector from Power Automate, you have multiple choices. Like you can create it, or you can start from blank. There will not be any specification or anything. You can start with blank, and you need to provide all the details. Or You can use the Azure services, which is currently in preview, or you can use the OpenAI file or the URL, which is most convenient form of creating a custom connector. Or you can, if you are a person who does a lot of testing using the Postman collection and defining the specifications for your REST APIs using Postman collection, then you can use the Postman collection also, or you can use the HitGub Power Platform connector templates. There are a lot of templates available in the HitGub. You can start with a specific template and then customize it according to your choice. Or another way is that if you have a complex system and you have if you want a very good management of your APIs, then you can use with Azure API management, and you can publish those APIs into the Power Automate as a custom connector too. So these are the various ways of creating the custom connector. So, so for today's session, I will be having 5 different demos focusing on different scenarios. First, we will be starting with a 0 or a level 100 type of custom connector creation. And then we, in each of the demo, we'll keep on rising the difficulty level, and we will cover all the advanced topics. So in each of the demo, we will be keep on increasing the complexity. So in the first demo, what we are going to do is that we are going to publish a custom connector from Visual Studio. So let me open my Visual Studio. This is a simple .NET application. Here you can, I have couple of APIs. One is get order details, and then another API is for updating the delivery details. So this application does some order management. So if you input the order number, it will try to return the order details. So it is a very simple application. I don't have any complex logic or anything. And if here you can notice that my API definition, my API specification has been mentioned as a Swagger. Here the method is get, and then for this API we need to provide the order number. And then we have provided the description of this API summary and everything. Similarly, for updating the delivery address, here too we have defined the Swagger details of updating the delivery address, and then the summary for this API. And for this API, this is going to be a post method. And then to update the delivery address, I need to provide the order number, street, city, state, and zip code, everything here. So how you can publish this in the as a custom connector in Power Automate or to the Power Platform. So to do this, what you need to do is that go to the connected service, select add. You can notice the option called Microsoft Power Platform. Since I have already added a connection, let me try to edit it and show it to you. So here you can notice that I have logged in with my specific username, and then I have selected the required environment, and then I have provided a name for my connector. And then another important thing is that since I have not yet published this application into Azure and it is running it locally, I need a public dev tunnel. So using this public dev tunnel, the Power Platform and my API is going to speak. So I need to select the public dev tunnel, and then I just need to click the finish button. That's it. So once you publish it, what happens is that let me go to my I'm in the Power Automate portal. So I need to open the custom connectors. To go to that, click the more in the left side panel, click discover all. And then here you can notice an option called custom connectors. I have pinned it to the left side panel. So it is showing in my left side. And you can notice that the connector that I have already published it, and it's available in the custom connectors. Now let's try to edit and see what it has. Since I have used public dev tunnel, the tunnel details are automatically updated in the host details. And then for security, it selected as no authentication. Let's try to understand all the authentication types in the upcoming demos. Let's go to the definition part. You can notice there are two APIs. One is getting the order details. This is going to be a get operation. Here you can see the verb. And then for to get the order detail, I need to just input the order number alone. And then I have another API, update delivery address. And then you can notice that the verb is post. And then to update the order details, I need to provide the details like order number, street, city, state, and zip code, and everything. So yeah, all the details got published using from the Visual Studio itself. So there is no manual editing or nothing required from my side. So let's try to test it. So before testing it, let me start the application. It is not in a running state. Let me start the application. Yeah, the application has started. Let's try to test it. Let me try to input some number. So if in this case, whatever the number I have provided, it will replace some. It will provide a default reply. So I got the status as 200. There is no issues, and it returned the order details. Now what we are going to do is that let's see how I can consume this custom connector in my Copilot agent. I'm in Copilot Studio, and then I have already created a Copilot agent here, and then I have added those two APIs. Let me show you how you can add it. So search for the API name Contoso. Here you can notice that get order details and update delivery date. These are the two APIs that I have published just before starting this demo. So you need to just select it. You need to select it, and then you complete. You just need to complete the add process. I'm not going to add the accents again. So now let's try to test this API. So in my prompt, I have mentioned just get order details, but I have not given the order number. But for our API, this order number is a mandatory one. So so the Copilot agent is asking for the number. So it returned the status. Now what I'm going to do is that to update the order delivery address, instead of providing the prompt in English, I have providing the prompt in Tamil. Let's see what happens. Since in my Copilot agent, I have enabled the generative AI. So you can see that even though I have provided the text in Tamil in another language, it still asks me the details like what is the street name, and then city, and then the state, and then the pin code. So here you can notice that while performing the update delivery operation, the Copilot has not asked me the order number. The reason is that using my current chat context, it assumed that the order number is going to be 123, and then it proceed with this. So yeah, anyway, it will complete in after a few seconds. So let me stop this debugging process for now. Let me close this application also. Here, when you try to publish a custom connector from Visual Studio, you will be getting an UI something like this. The main thing is that you need to properly select the environment, provide the correct connector name, and then you need to select the public dev tunnel also. So you will be seeing something like this once the publication into the Power Platform is completed. So in the previous demo, we have seen how you can publish a custom connector using Visual Studio. Now, what we are going to do is that we are going to uh, try something different. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to import, I'm going to create a custom connector using the OpenAI file. Let me show you. I have an HR application, and then in this HR application, what it does is that it will list all the candidates who applied for different posts in the company. This is a very simple application. I have a JSON file where I have been maintaining all the candidate details. Using this application, using this application, I can get all the candidates or a specific candidate, or I can add a specific candidate, or I can remove a specific candidate. So these are the operations it does. So here I have a file called openai.json. openai.json. So using this file, now we are going to try and create a new custom connector. So here the host details for the connecting with my API services, that the host is not filled automatically. Reason is that I have inputted the OpenAI file, not I have published it from the Visual Studio. So to do this, again, what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to start the debugging process. Let me start the tunnel also. So I have started the tunnel. So using this tunnel, my applications are keep communicating. So I'm going to use this as the host. So while providing the host, you remove the protocol, HTTPS. And then in security, I have selected no authentication. And then in definition, it got automatically filled. Got like a get all candidates, add a candidate, get a specific candidate, remove a candidate. All the details are automatically got filled using the OpenAI file. I'm going to create the connector. Once the creation of the custom connector completes, we are going to test it. So I'm going to test it now. Since there is no connection, existing connection, I am creating a new one, and I am trying to get the candidate details. So here you can notice that all the candidate details are listed here. And here you can notice that a message called OAuth is disabled. So there is no validation happened. In our custom connector, we have mentioned as no authentication. So it proceeded in that way. So if you want to consume it from your Copilot agent, this connector, again, you need to since it is already published, to go to your Copilot agent. From actions, you can add it. So I'm not going to do this again. So let's go to my slide. So in the past two demos, we have used the authentication type as no authentication. There are various ways to secure your connector. So there is one way is no authentication. That is that there will not be any protection or anything. But in your real cases or your real world scenarios, there won't be anything where you will be publishing the API without any authentication. There may be some public services like getting the weather forecast or something where we can have no authentication. But in your real life cases, it is not going to be the case. Or it supports another type of authentication called the basic authentication, where uh, you need to maintain a system of username and password combination, and you need to make the authentication using the username and password. Or you can have the API key, like there are multiple Azure services like the storage or storage vault, where the API keys are used. There you will be maintaining a key value pair. And for API key, again, we are not going to have any user's identity. And finally, we have OAuth 2. Here, there are plenty of integrations. So here we authorize the users based on the user's identity. The OAuth 2, there are a lot of options or external providers are there. Azure Active Directory itself provides the OAuth 2 authentications, and apart from that, you might be seeing various options like login with Google, login with Microsoft, or login with the LinkedIn, something like that, or login with HitGov. There are plenty of external identity providers who provide OAuth authentication. But in Microsoft ecosystem, we commonly going to use the Microsoft Entra ID. And also for today's demo, we are going to use Microsoft Entra ID. So till now, we have seen only the no authentication. We have not applied any authentication to our APIs. But for the upcoming demos, we are going to keep on rising the complexity, and we will be using the OAuth 2. Now, what if I want to secure my API using OAuth 2 authentication? What you need to do? So basically, to do this, there is a single step you need to perform. First one is you need to create an Azure AD application in Entra ID, and then you need to grant the permissions to that specific application. Like if you are going to create, if your API is going to create teams, or if your API is going to create groups, or if it is going to list all the teams in your environment. So based on the operations, you need to provide the specific applications, and then you need to provide a redirect URL. These are the two things. Once you created the Azure AD application, you need to collect the details like client ID, client secret, API URI, and redirect URL from your custom connect. You need to collect it from the Azure AD application, and then you need to input in your custom connector, and then you can publish it and you can start consuming it. So let's try this for a specific case. Like assume that you want to create a new team using the Copilot agent. How you can perform it? So what I'm going to do is that to do this. So in this demo, we are going to use OAuth authentication, OAuth 2.0 authentication instead of no authentication. So to do this, what I need to do is that I need to create a new application in the app registration. So I'm in the Entra ID portal. So I need to provide some name, and then I need to mention whether it is going to be a single tenant or multi-tenant. Suppose your application is going to be used by various customers tenant, you need to select multi-tenant, or suppose it is going to be used in this current tenant alone, you need to select the single tenant, and then leave the rest of the part and click the register operation. So in the interest of time, I have already created a Azure AD application called Teams Creation dash Delegate. So it is already created, and then I need to provide the permissions for this Azure AD app. I need to do this. I need to click the add a permission. I need to select Microsoft Graph. I'm going to use the delegate permission. The delegate permission, what it means is that it is going to use or it is going to run this API using the currently logged in user. So suppose if you are if it is shared to various people and the person who is going to run this API, his permission is going to be used. That is called a delegated permissions. It is a very simple one. Here I need to search for theme.create. I need to select this permission and click add button. Since it is already added, it is grayed out. The button is grayed out. Apart from this, what I need to do is that go to authentication, click add platform, select verb. Here I need to provide a redirect URL. I have already added this web platform by when you at very first time you need to provide this URL, that is https global.consent.azure.apim.net dash slash redirect. You need to provide this redirect URL at first. So now our app registration process completed. Now our second process, I need to create a custom connector. Let's try to do that. I am in the custom connector section. Here I need to start from blank. I need to provide some name. Click continue. For the host part, just input graph.microsoft.com. Leave the base URL as it is. Go to security. Here select OAuth 2. And then in the identity provider, select Azure Active Directory. Leave the enable service principal support for now as it is. You don't enable anything. And then what you need to do is that go to your Azure AD application that you have just registered. Go to certificates and clients. From here, you create a client secret and paste it here, the client secret. And then you can get the client ID from here. From the overview section, you can get the application client ID. You copy this and input it and input it in the client ID section. And leave the authorization URL as it is. Leave the tenant ID. For the tenant ID also, you can copy the tenant ID from the Azure AD application and then you can paste it. In the resource URL, provide https graph.microsoft.com. Leave this field as it is. And for scope, input as team.create. Once you hit the create connector button, you will be generated with an redirect URL. You need to copy this URL and paste it in your Azure AD application in the authentication section. For the web redirect URL, you need to copy this and paste it. For this also, I have already created a custom connector. Let me open that and then I will show you. We shall proceed from here. It is already created. And then security, I have selected OAuth 2. I have inputted the client ID. So this is the client ID 896. It starts at 896. It is inputted. And then I have provided the client secret and then the resource URL and then the scope as team.create. And then this field is not editable. It is a read-only field. You need to copy this and then paste it in the authentication section for web. You just need to click add URL and then you need to paste the URL that got generated there. Now go to the definition part. So for here, this connector going to create a new team with the name that was mentioned by the user in the chat. So I have provided the description, summary and everything, and the operation ID as create team. And then we need to provide the specification like whether it is a get or post method, what are the parameters I need to pass and everything. For in the previous two demos, we have published it, one from the Visual Studio and another we have used the OpenAI file. So in those cases, all the details are pre-filled. But in our case, we are starting with the blank. So I need to click import from sample. So go to I'm in the graph API documentation for create team. So please scroll down and then you can notice this. Here you can notice that this is the URL we need to use to create a new team. So I just going to copy this and paste it here, and the method is going to be post, and then header is going to be this one. The content type is going in the header. I need to mention the content type as application JSON, and then in the body I need to provide the details like display name, description, and the type of team that we need to create. In this example, we are going to create a standard team, not something like educational teams or anything. You need to paste it here. So once you click import button, the definitions will get created. Let us try to edit it. So you can notice that the content type has been added. Let me try to edit it. You can notice that the content type is here, but the default value will be empty by default. But so I have mentioned the default value as application JSON, and then in the body, similarly in the body, there are three inputs I need to provide. One is description, display name, and then the type of the team that we need to create, a standard team. So here too, by when you create a new definition, it is going to be empty. So for easy operations, I have provided the default value also here. I have left the description and display name alone as empty. So everything we have done. Now let's jump on to the test section. The connection is already created. Here you can notice that the content type and the template for the team that we need to going to create is already got filled. I'm going to provide the new going to provide the team name for the creation. So you can notice the check mark. The team has been got created. The team name is test2. When I go to teams, you can find this new team. Let's try to do the same team creation using the Copilot agent itself. I have already created an agent, and then I have added the actions for creating a new team using the connector, the custom connector that we have created earlier. So you can see the name and everything. I'm not going to change anything. Again, to add the new action, I need to click the add button, and then you can search for create team. You need to search and add that particular action. Now let's try to make the testing from here. So the team name, the display name and descriptions are got automatically updated using the prompt. And then the team has been created successfully. Let's go to teams and then see if it is created or not. So we have this team got automatically created. If I go to manage team, go to members, you can see that myself has been added as owner. Since I have used the delegated permission, and then I have created this team. Since it used my permissions to create the team, I have been added as the owner. Again, in the real world scenarios, these cases are going to be these scenarios not used widely. The reason is that suppose you are trying to automate your team's lifecycle management. So you will be exposing various APIs like creating a team, listing the teams, deleting a team, assigning the members, owners, and everything for entire life cycle management of your team. To do these operations, by default in all the large organizations or default in every organization, what they will be doing is that they will disable the group creation or the team creation by default, and they provide permission to a specific security group alone for the creation of the teams. So only the members of that specific security group alone can create the teams. In those cases, we can't always expect an admin to use his delegated permission to create the teams. It is not going to be the case. In those cases, what we need to do is that we are going to use the application permissions. It is something like service account which is running in the background, and it will act on behalf of the admin. Like that, it is going to happen. So when you are going to use the application permission, there are some little changes you need to do. So in the Azure AD application registration and then in your custom connector part, we are going to see that now. So let me go to my Azure AD application that we have created earlier. Earlier we have added only the delegated permission team.create. Now we shall try to add the application permission here. So this permission I have already added. So it is the add permission button is created. Here you can notice the team.created has been added. So when you are going to use the application permissions, it is always mandatory. You need to get the admin consent. Without admin consent, you can't use this permission. The reason is that it is these are highly high privileged operation, and also it is acting on behalf of some admin. It is an administrative process, and also it is something like you are doing this operation on behalf of us, some admin. So we need to get the admin consent to use this. So what we need to do is that you need to select grant admin consent for your specific demo, your tenant. You need to select this button. You need to provide the consent for using these applications. This is the one change that we have done. Now, what we are going to do is that now again, let me go to my custom connectors. I have already created a custom connector for this demo also. In the security part, I have selected OAuth 2, and then the identity provider is Azure Active Directory. But I have selected this option, enable service principal support. So I need to just select this part. That's the only thing I have made. That's the only change I have done. Nothing else. The definitions are going to be same, and everything is going to be same. So I want to show you one thing. So I'm going to create a new connection here for testing purpose to test this process also. Since we are going to use the service principal connection, I'm selecting service principal connection in these two options. I need to input the client ID, client secret, and the tenant ID from my Azure AD application. We need to create the client secret from certificate and secrets. I have already created everything. So I just need to input these details along here. Client ID, and then the client secret, and then the tenant ID. And then click the create connection part. Select the latest one that we have created now. So when you are going to use the application permission, the definition part going to change a little bit. Let me show you what going to change. Again, I am on the Graph API docs for creating a new team. First, in the previous demo, we have used this example, delegated permission. But for this demo, we are going to use the application permissions. So you notice that and this field got added additionally. member part. When you are going to use the application permission, at least you need to specify at least one user as the member, and then you need to specify whether he is going to be owner or regular member, regular team member. You need to specify the role, and then you need to specify which user you are going to add. Here we need to provide the user ID. So this is the change that we need to perform when you are using application permissions. So let me go to test part, and then I'm going to use the raw body. Here I need to input my current any of the username. For the demo purpose, I'm going to get my user ID. I am going to use the Graph Explorer for this purpose. Go to aka.ms/ge. So let me sign in. I have signed in. Let me run the query. So you can notice the field called ID. We are going to use this. And then I'm going to click test operation. You can see that new team got created, and the name was my sample team. Let's see the teams also. My sample team has been created. If I go to manage team and then members, again you can see myself has been added as owner, but the difference is that here we have used the application permissions. When you are using application permission, you need to specify who is going to be the member and who is going to be the owner. It is not always like in the delegated permission where the person who is going to run get added as owner automatically, but not the case with the application permission. You need to specify an user who is going to be the owner of the team. So let's revisit what we have done in the previous sample of using the Graph API with application permissions. So instead of when you are going to enable the service principal in the custom connector, you are going to use application permissions instead of user-based authentication or delegate permissions. When you are relying on service principal, you are not going to use short-lived tokens that are going to be expired. For example, these delegated permission tokens going to have a short token life, so it will expire in short time, and you need to re-authenticate yourself multiple times in a day. But with the service principal, this is not the case. So when you are going to use the application permissions, you need to provide the client ID, client secret, and tenant ID. But for delegated permission, we don't require the client ID. We don't require the client secret. We just need to input client ID and tenant ID are enough. But for application permission, we need to input the client secret also. Due to this reason, when I try to create a new connector using my custom connector, it asked me client ID, client secret, and tenant ID. That's the reason. And then the next point is requires application permission instead of delegated permissions. So the rest, all the protocol structures and this security structure or everything is same. The only thing is that it is something like a service account which runs in the background. It keeps on running. It is not going to bother you or anything for re-authentication or anything. It will take care of itself with the tokens and everything. ID token, access tokens. It will take care of everything itself. So that's the difference between the delegated permission and then the application permissions. In most of the cases, in real world scenarios, we will be using only the application permission. Due to this reason, I have shown you the demo of using the application permission with the Graph API. So till now, we have seen like Graph API as an external system. We have used Graph API to create the teams, which is again provided by Microsoft itself. But in the real world scenarios, it is not going to be the case. Yeah, you may be having you will be consuming a third party solution, or you are going to provide an application and you want to manage the authorization, authentication, and everything by your application itself. So how you can do that? So for demo purpose, what we are going to do is that we are going to have an HR service, an application called HR service. It is an hypothetical REST API service to manage the candidates who apply for the job vacancies. So it supports various operations like get candidates, or getting a specific candidate, adding a candidate, and removing the candidate. And what we are going to do is that we are going to secure this API using OAuth 2.0 and Microsoft Entra. And we are going to have a custom authentication and authorization for these APIs. And to do this, we are going to utilize the infrastructure provided by the Entra ID. So when you are trying to consume a third party or custom APIs, what you need to do is that you need to have a backend, which may be either Azure Function or .NET application or a web app, wherever it can be hosted. And when you are using Azure Functions, it supports easy authentication. The meaning is that the Azure Function supports various authentication ways like OAuth 2, or if you want no authentication, you can do that. Or if you want a API key, you can use that. So it provides bunch of options, same as in Power Platform, custom connectors. It will provide various options. So for authentication, we can use the Azure AD. It will authenticate automatically, like whether the specific user exists in this tenant, whether this user is a valid one, or the username, password, everything is correct. We can do the authentication using the Azure AD itself. But how you know this specific user got authorized or got the permission to access this API? In our previous demos, we have seen that we have used the permission called team.create. Only the users who have, for example, in our delegate permission case, the users who have the permission called team.create, only those users alone can create the team. Not all the users can create a team by default in the tenants. It will be going to be restricted. Only the users with team.create permission alone can create the teams. Something like you want to provide authorization, like only these users with this specific permission alone can access the HR permission. How you can do that? To do this, we are going to use OAuth 2. That is our goal. We are going to use the Azure Active Directory and the Microsoft custom connectors going to facilitate all these scenarios. So when you are going to use OAuth 2 to secure custom connector, this is the last demo. So we have a, let me open my application. Here, this is the application we have used when we try to create a custom connector using OpenAI file. Here you can notice that I have a file called local settings.json. Here I have mentioned use OAuth as false for that specific demo. Suppose, so let me run it and show it to you. Let me start the debugging. Okay, the debugging started. If you notice, if I try to execute this REST API, I will get the proper response, like all the list of candidates. Suppose, let me stop the debugging now. Suppose if I disable or if I enable OAuth2, what going to happen? Let's see. Here it is false. Now I am going to make it as true. Now we have mentioned here that I am going to use OAuth authentication. Let me start the debugger again. And then let me open the HTTP file. If I try to access this API, you can notice I will be getting the message as unauthorized. The reason is that simply I have not I have enabled OAuth2 authentication, but I have not make the required changes in my connector or anywhere. It is myself, the person who is running this or accessing this API is not authenticated properly. That's the reason we are getting unauthorized. Let's see how you can do this. So when you are going to uh, when you are going to expose your own set of APIs, and if you want to protect those APIs using Azure AD OAuth2 authentication, what you need to do is that you need to register two Azure AD applications. One is you need to register one application for your HR application itself. That is for in HR application, you need to register an Azure AD app for your HR application, and then you need to configure expose and API settings. That is first Azure AD application, and then the second one is you need to create another Azure AD application which is going to consume your application, the HR service. This the second Azure AD application going to consume your HR application. So we need to create two Azure AD apps, and then you need to proceed as it is we have done. Let me, even though it seems a little bit complex, when you see the demo, it is going to be a very simpler one. So let me go to my Azure AD portal. I have already created two Azure AD apps. First one is HR service. So I have registered this Azure AD application to expose my own application for other users to consume, or my HR service has been exposed through this Azure AD application. I need to create a new application with the name HR service API, and then here it is going to be very, very simple. You need to click expose an API. So when you click the expose an API, you will get the application ID URI by default. You need to copy it, and we are going to use this value in our connector. And then I need to click the scope, and then I need to provide the details like the scope name and everything. I have already created one. I am going to show it to you. In our case, I am going to create a new scope called HR.consume. I have provided the same name for admin display name and for user display name. I have provided the descriptions and everything. Assume this as something similar to team.create, something like a team.create permission. Here we have HR.consume. So the users who have HR.consume permissions alone can access this service, this HR service. So here nothing, no other steps is required. So you need to create a Azure AD app to expose your service, or to expose your HR service for other users to consume it. You have created an Azure AD application. Here we no need to add any authentication methods or anything. We just need to mention, you just need to click add scope, and then you need to add a new scope called HR.consume. That's it. And then go to manifest. In this manifest, here you mention that requested access token version as 2. Here, since we are going to use OAuth 2.0 authentication, here I need to mention the version number for my tokens as 2. By default, it will be it will be null. But for this demo, I need to set it as true. So our first Azure AD application creation completed. Now I need to create another Azure AD application. This application going to consume my HR service. So to do this, I have created an Azure application. And then in API permissions, here earlier in our previous demo, we have clicked add a permission, and then we have selected Microsoft Graph Teams.create. But in our case, we need to use HR.consume. To do this, go to APIs, my organization users, search for HR service API. Here you can see that HR.consume is available as a delegated permission. Since it is already added, the add permission button is grayed out. I have added that. And then I need to go to authentication. I need to go to authentication section, and then I need to input the redirect URL that we create from the custom connector. So the first part is completed. We have created two Azure AD applications, one for exposing our own HR service for other users to consume it, and then our consumer app, HR service consumer. This we have created. That part is completed. Now what we need to do is that I need to go to my custom connectors, and then I need to create a new custom connector. In the interest of time, I already created the custom connector. Here in the co-host, I need to provide the dev tunnel URL that I get while running to run this app. For this, I have already started a dev tunnel named as HR-service, which provides me a specific URL. I have copied and pasted here. And then in security part, again, I have used auth 2. And then I have selected the identity provided as Azure Active Directory. I need to input the client ID. The client ID means this one, HR Service Consumer. This is the client ID. I need to input it here. It starts with the 51 EB, this one. And then the client secret. You know how we need to get the client secret. Go to certificates and secrets. From here, you can create a new client secret and then provide the tenant ID. Or leave it as common if you want to use it by multiple customer tenants. And then in the resource URI, what you need to do, in previous graph demos, we have inputted HTTPS graph.microsoft.com. But in this case, we have exposed our own service through an Azure AD app. This HR service API has been exposed on behalf of our service. To get the URL for the resource URL, what you need to do is that you need to go to expose an API, copy this field, application ID URI, copy this and paste it here. And then in the scope, I need to mention HR.consume. It is in previous example, we have used team.create, but in this case, we are going to use HR.consume. And then the redirect URL, it got created, and I need to just copy this and paste it in my consumer app. I need to go to authentication. I need to add the web-based platform, and then I need to add the URL. And then the definitions. It is everything is same as earlier, get candidates and everything. I have created these definitions using the OpenAI file. Now let's go to the testing part, and then we shall do a small testing. The connection is already created. When I hit the test operation, let's see what happens. It got succeeded, and then it returns all the candidates who have applied. Now let's go to the Visual Studio Code and see what happened. Here you can notice the message, token is valid for Narasima Perumal. So the token validation has been done here. Only the users who have the permission HR.consume alone can access this API. So let me go to the candidates function. In the candidate function, we have a function called validate token. This validate token is created using the package jwt.dash-validate. I'm not going in depth on this validation part. You just need to import this package, and then you need to provide the set of tokens that need to be present in the set of permissions that needs to be present in your token. So the users with the permission HR.consume in the tokens alone will be get authenticated, else it will be returned as unauthorized. So due to this reason, we are getting token is valid for the user Narasima Perumal. Now we have created the Azure AD custom connector. Now let's try to use it from our Copilot agent. I'm in the Microsoft Copilot Studio. In this case, I'm going to use Copilot for M365. I have already created an agent called HR agent using this connector. Let's try to test this. I'm providing the prompt as list all HR candidates from external system. Here you can notice that the results are got published from our own application. Again, here too you can notice that this token is valid. So we have made some logs to see if the tokens are valid or not. So it is authenticated. But if you try to access from your tunnel or from locally, you will get the message as unauthorized. You can see you will be getting the response as unauthorized. So in the final demo, we have seen how you can expose your own application and with your own set of permissions as a custom connector. In our case, we have HR service as the service, and which provides a custom set of permission called HR.consume, something similar to team.creation. And then we have seen how you can secure those APIs using Azure AD app. For this demo, we have created two Azure AD applications, one to expose our own API HR service, and then another Azure AD application to consume that. That's the main difference. Apart from that, everything is same, more or less same as we have done for the graph connector. So you can use the HR connector sample, the reference URL that I have provided. The page has the detailed steps, and then the sample code, everything is available in this space. And then the second URL is Microsoft Copilot Developer Bootcamp, Developer Camp, where Microsoft is keep on updating various samples and scenarios weekly here. This also seems to be a very good resource. You can make use of it. And as a developer, we are not going to have a simple Copilot agent. Every time it is going to be something complex where we will be accessing the third-party systems and you will be consuming the data from other systems. In those cases, you need to authenticate those systems using their own authentication. It may be again going to be worth too. Or if you are going to expose your own systems and you want to consume the data from your own system, again you need to make some authentications. So using from this demo, you have understood how you can expose a custom connector for your own system with your own set of permissions, and how you can secure those APIs also. Thank you. Thanks. Let me wait for questions if you have anything.
Yeah, Sima, we have few questions.
Okay.
So, question from Jeet. Jeet asks, can we use Ping Federate in this scenario for Teams chat channel creation? If yes, how do we do that?
I'm not familiar with the pink federate. I don't know about that. Most of in my scenarios, in my real world scenarios or in my organization, we use the graph APIs about. I'm not familiar with pink federate. I'm really sorry for that.
Okay, so we have a question from Derek.
Okay.
Derek asks, so what about setting up our server virtual machine on a separate endpoint and there is no interference with our objects you don't intend?
Okay, 1 minute. Let me go through the question again. So, what about setting up a server VM on a separate endpoint? So, there is no interface on OB.
Hobbies like objects you don't intend.
Don't questions. I have gone to order of my devices and connected it. I get my secret keys for. I I understood my understanding is that you are setting up your own server VM where you are running your own set of application with various endpoints, and you want to protect these endpoints with I think the API keys, key value pair, something. I think you are mentioning those. Suppose instead of doing this, you can expose those APIs as Azure function or web app, you will be getting all these functionalities. I have during the demo itself, I have mentioned Azure function provide an easy way of authentication. It provides various authentication scenarios like you can use no authentication, or if you want API key value pair, you can do that. Or if you want to protect your APIs using Azure OAuth 2.0 authentication, you can do that. Those so my suggestion is that instead of doing this, you can use any of the Azure services, and then you can easily build on top of that. That is going to be an easier way.
I hope that answers the question. And final call to drop in the question. Okay, I think we are good. So I don't see questions coming up more. So let's call for a wrap, Narsimha.
Yeah, thank you, Path. Thanks a lot. Thank you, guys,
Thank
for
you,
attending my
everyone.
session.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hope you all have a rest of the day ahead. Great. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you. Bye.